You know that feeling, right? You've just had a great meal, everything's wonderful, and then it begins. That pressure, that fullness. Your stomach feels tight, stretched out, almost like it's gonna pop. If you've ever felt like a balloon being slowly inflated, trust me, you are definitely not alone. And today, we're gonna figure out exactly what's going on.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what that uncomfortable feeling actually is. Then, we'll play detective and look at the usual suspects on your plate. After that, we'll go beyond food to some other surprising causes. We'll take a peek into the gut's inner world, build you an action plan for relief, and, this is a big one, we'll talk about when bloating might be a serious warning sign.
All right, let's start with the basics. When we say we're bloated, what are we really talking about? It's actually a bit more specific than just feeling like you ate too much.
Yeah, that sensation of being way too full, your clothes feeling tight, all that gassiness, it is incredibly common. Seriously, surveys show that somewhere between 16 and 31% of us are dealing with bloating. So if you're feeling it, you're in very, very good company.
Okay, now this is a really important distinction. Bloating is the feeling. It's that personal, internal sensation of pressure, like there's a bunch of trapped gas in there. But distension, that's the physical sign. That's when you can actually look down and see that your stomach has gotten bigger. The wild thing is, they often happen together, but not always. You can feel super bloated inside, but your waistline looks totally normal. Or the opposite can happen. You look physically bigger, but you don't really feel that awful pressure. It's a subtle but key difference.
And that leads us to another key comparison. Bloating is not belly fat. Bloating is temporary. It's caused by gas or fluid, and it can literally come and go in a matter of hours. Belly fat, on the other hand, well, that develops over a much longer time. Think of bloating as a temporary guest who shows up unannounced, while belly fat is more of a long-term resident. Totally different things, and you deal with them in totally different ways.
Okay, now that we're clear on what bloating is, let's get into the #1 cause for most people. And for that, we need to look no further than what's on our plates.
And when it comes to food, there are definitely some usual suspects. You've got the classics, right? Beans and lentils, dairy, wheat, those are pretty well known. But what's surprising is that even super healthy foods like broccoli, cauliflower, onions, and apples can be major culprits. And it's not just solid food. Carbonated drinks can pump you full of air, artificial sweeteners can cause trouble, and heavy, fatty foods can slow everything down. We're going to get into the why behind all of this in just a second.
So, what's the connection between all these different foods? For many of them, the answer is a funny-sounding acronym. FODMAPs. I know, it's a mouthful. It stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. But all you really need to know is that these are all types of short-chain carbs that our small intestine has a really tough time absorbing. And that's where the trouble starts for people who are sensitive to them.
Okay, this diagram might look a little complicated, but stick with me, because it shows exactly what happens. When you eat high FODMAP foods, they trigger a chain reaction. First, they're like little magnets for water, pulling it into your gut. Second, they arrive in your large intestine and become an all-you-can-eat buffet for your gut bacteria. And as those bacteria feast, they produce a ton of gas. So you've got extra water and extra gas, both stretching out your intestines. And to top it off, this whole process can make the nerves in your gut super sensitive. That's what visceral hypersensitivity means. Your gut's alarm system gets way too touchy, and even a normal amount of gas can feel incredibly painful.
So let's just boil that down into 3 simple steps. Step 1. Your body doesn't absorb these FODMAPs very well, so they just keep traveling down the line. Step 2, they pull water in with them. That's the osmotic effect. And step 3, the bacteria in your gut go to town on them, and through fermentation, they produce a whole bunch of hydrogen gas. You can see how extra water plus extra gas is the perfect storm for feeling bloated and distended. But here's the thing, it's not always about what you're eating. Sometimes, bloating has more to do with how you're eating or even what's going on in the rest of your life.
For starters, you can literally just swallow too much air. It happens when you eat too fast, drink through a straw, chew a lot of gum, or even just talk a lot while you're eating. All that extra air has to go somewhere, right? And then there are hormones. For many women, those natural hormonal shifts right before and during a period can lead to significant bloating and water retention. It's a very real biological cycle.
So here's a really fascinating question to think about. We use phrases like, I have a gut feeling, or I feel butterflies in my stomach all the time. Well, that's not just a cute saying. It points to a very real, very powerful connection between your brain and your gut. And this connection is called the gut-brain axis. Your brain and your gut are constantly talking to each other. So when your brain senses you're stressed or anxious, it kicks your body into fight or flight mode. And in that moment, your body decides digestion isn't a top priority. It slows everything down. Food sits around longer, it starts to ferment, gas builds up, and your gut can become even more sensitive. So yeah, that stress you're feeling isn't just in your head, it can cause very real physical bloating in your belly.
So we've covered food and lifestyle. But for some people, bloating isn't just an occasional nuisance. It can be a chronic, daily symptom of a deeper medical issue happening inside the gut itself.
Two conditions you hear about a lot in this conversation are SIBO and IBS. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. You get too many bacteria growing in the wrong part of your intestines. IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, is a bit different. It's considered a disorder of how the gut and brain communicate. Now, their symptoms can look really similar, but specialists often point out a key difference. IBS is often dominated by pain, whereas with SIBO, the #1 complaint is often bloating. And the list of possible underlying conditions goes on. Chronic constipation is a huge factor. If things are backed up, gas gets trapped. Gastroparesis is a condition where your stomach just empties way too slowly. Then you have celiac disease, which is an autoimmune reaction to gluten and other common food intolerances. And for women, even conditions like endometriosis or fibroids can press on the intestines and cause a sensation of bloating. This is exactly why, if your bloating is constant and severe, you have to work with a doctor to get to the root cause. Okay, we've talked a lot about the problems. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. It's time to build your action plan so you can start finding some relief.
All right, let's open up this toolkit. We're going to go through some simple, but really powerful strategies, all backed by evidence, that can help you take back control and start feeling a whole lot better.
You'd be amazed what a difference these can make. First, and this is a big one, slow down. I mean, really slow down. Aim to chew each bite 20 or even 30 times. Digestion starts in the mouth. Next, try eating smaller, more frequent meals instead of 3 huge ones. It's just less overwhelming for your system. And get moving? Regular exercise helps keep everything in your digestive tract moving along smoothly. Of course, drink lots of water. That's key for preventing constipation. A gentle stomach massage can actually help move trapped gas out. And finally, you might want to look into probiotics, which can help support a healthy balance of bacteria in your gut. We have to tackle this one because it is all over the internet. Apple cider vinegar, or ACV. It's promoted as a miracle cure for bloating, but what does the science actually say about it?
Well, here's where we see a huge gap between hype and reality. The research is really clear on this. There's zero scientific evidence that ACV helps bloating. In fact, it could do the opposite. The one clinical study that looked at this found that ACV can actually slow down how quickly your stomach empties. So if your bloating is caused by slow digestion to begin with, taking ACV could make things even worse.
Okay, let's get to our final and honestly most critical section. Because while most of the time bloating is just uncomfortable and annoying, sometimes it can be your body trying to tell you something much more serious. These right here are what doctors call alarm symptoms, and you should never, ever ignore them. If your bloating just won't go away, we're talking it lasts for more than a week, or if it comes with severe pain that's getting worse, you need to see a doctor. Same goes for losing weight without trying, major changes in your bowel habits, seeing blood in your stool, or suddenly losing your appetite. Any of these could be signs of something more serious going on. The bottom line is this: please, listen to your body. If something feels off, don't just brush it aside. When in doubt, always get it checked out.